Your intuition knows the truth before your logic does. It's already given you the answer. The question is, are you listening? You felt it, that faint internal alarm bell when you meet someone new, a flicker of something in their smile that doesn't quite reach their eyes. Or maybe it's the opposite, an inexplicable warmth, a feeling of immediate recognition, of safety with a total stranger, as if you've known them for 1,000 years. You feel this knowing. It arrives in an instant, a complete, fully formed judgment delivered by some silent, ancient part of your mind. And then the other voice kicks in, the loud one, the logical one, the voice of reason.
It tells you not to be so judgmental, to give them a chance. It explains away the inconsistencies. You're just tired, you're being paranoid, they're probably just nervous. So you silence the whisper. You override the instinct. You hire the person your gut screamed was a bad fit. You enter the relationship that your soul knew was a dead end. You trust the friend who, on some deep cellular level, you always knew was disloyal. And months or even years later, when the truth finally erupts into the open, you're left sitting in the rubble, with one crushing thought echoing in the silence. I knew it. Deep down, I knew it all along. This isn't a personal failing. It is a fundamental disconnect from the most sophisticated intelligence system you will ever own. You feel stuck, unfulfilled, perhaps even betrayed by your own choices, because you have been taught to trust the noisy engine of your conscious mind over the silent compass of your subconscious. You've been told that quick judgments are prejudiced, that they are the domain of the simple-minded. But what if I told you that this ability, this rapid cognition, is one of the most powerful tools for navigating the world? What if that instantaneous feeling is not prejudice, but perception? A highly refined perception that operates faster than the speed of thought. The writer Malcolm Gladwell gave it a modern name, thin slicing. It's the ability of our unconscious to find patterns in situations and behavior based on incredibly narrow windows of experience. It's the art expert who knows a priceless statue is a fake in a single glance, even when months of scientific analysis say it's real. It's the marriage counselor who can predict with over 90% accuracy whether a couple will divorce after watching them talk for just 15 minutes. They aren't using magic. They are reading the thin slice. They are listening to the whisper. The question is, why have you stopped? And how do you learn to hear it again? To understand the power of the thin slice, we have to journey inward, deep into the architecture of the psyche. The great Swiss psychiatrist Carl Jung, a man who mapped the hidden territories of the soul, understood this landscape better than anyone. He saw the unconscious not as a dark basement full of repressed memories, but as a vast, intelligent, and active part of who we are. It is a shared reservoir of human experience, what he called the collective unconscious. It communicates not in words, but in symbols, in feelings, in gut instincts, in those quiet alarms and sudden knowings. Jung once gave a warning that resonates to the very core of our problem. He said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." Read that again. It will direct your life, and you will call it fate. The bad relationship, you call it bad luck. The job that drains your soul, you call it a necessary evil. The pattern of betrayal you can't seem to escape, you call it fate. But Jung suggests it is not fate. It is the unseen part of you, your own unconscious, pulling the strings from behind the curtain. And your intuition, your ability to thin slice the world, is the only tool you have for seeing what's happening back there. Your intuition is the translator between your conscious self and that vast, ancient intelligence within. Think of it. When you meet someone, your conscious mind is processing the superficial data,
their name, their job, the words they are saying.
But your unconscious is processing thousands of other signals simultaneously. The micro-expressions that flash across their face in less than a 15th of a second. The slight hesitation in their voice when they speak about their past. The way their posture shifts, subtly, when you ask a direct question. The scuff marks on their shoes that tell a story of carelessness or adventure. The tension in their jaw. The warmth, or lack thereof, in their handshake. This isn't about judging a book by its cover. This is about reading the entire library in an instant. Your adaptive unconscious is a master pattern recognizer, and it's comparing this person, this thin slice of reality, against every other human interaction you have ever experienced, witnessed, or even inherited through the collective unconscious. It delivers its conclusion not as a spreadsheet, but as a feeling of ease, or a feeling of dread. So why, if this system is so brilliant, does it so often feel wrong? Why do we misjudge people? Why are we sometimes repelled by good people and drawn to those who will harm us? This is where the journey gets uncomfortable, because to purify our intuition, to truly learn to trust it, we must first confront the ways in which we distort it. We must be brave enough to meet our own shadow. In the landscape of the Jungian psyche, there is a figure that walks behind us, a figure made of everything we refuse to see in ourselves. Jung called it the shadow.
The shadow is the repository for all the parts of our personality we have deemed unacceptable. The anger we were told was unladylike. The ambition we were taught was arrogant. The vulnerability we learned was weakness. The laziness, the greed, the envy, the passion, every part of our full humanity that we have disowned, repressed, and pushed down into the darkness of our unconscious. But these things don't go away. They live there, and they seethe, and they wait. And the primary way they get our attention is by showing up in other people. This psychological mechanism is called projection. Projection is the unconscious act of attributing our own unacknowledged and unwanted traits to someone else. It is the ego's defense mechanism for maintaining its own sense of being good and right. It says, I am not angry, you are the angry one. I am not controlling, you are the one trying to control me. I am not a failure, they are the incompetent ones. And this is where our intuition becomes dangerously distorted. Have you ever met someone and felt an immediate, visceral, and almost irrational dislike for them? They haven't done anything wrong, but something about them just gets under your skin. Jung would invite you to consider a terrifying possibility, that the quality that so irritates you in them is a disowned part of your own shadow. Let that sink in. The arrogance you can't stand in that colleague, perhaps it mirrors a deep, unacknowledged ambition in yourself that you were taught to suppress, an ambition you secretly yearn to express. The fakeness you perceive in that influencer, maybe it triggers your own deep-seated fear of being inauthentic, a part of you that wears a mask to be liked. The weakness you despise in a family member, it might be a reflection of the vulnerability you have locked away in your own heart, the part of you that is terrified of being seen as weak. This is the most challenging work of self-knowledge, to recognize that our strongest negative reactions to others are often a map, a compass pointing directly toward our own unhealed wounds and unintegrated parts.
This is shadow work. It is the courageous act of withdrawing our projections. It is asking the question, what is it in them that is activating something in me? And projection works both ways. We don't just project the negative, we project the positive too. This is the source of idealization, of falling in love not with a person, but with a fantasy. That person who seems like a god, who can do no wrong, who seems to possess all the confidence, talent, and freedom you lack,
you may be projecting your own undeveloped potential onto them, your own golden shadow, the brilliant parts of yourself you haven't yet had the courage to own. You are drawn to them not because they will complete you, but because they are showing you what you are capable of becoming. So the gut feeling you have about someone, that instant judgment, can be one of three things: pure intuition, a clear, clean, thin slice of reality. Your unconscious has accurately read the micro cues and is giving you a truthful report. A shadow projection, a distorted signal. You are not seeing the person in front of you. You are seeing a rejected part of yourself, and your reaction is based on your own inner conflict. A trauma response, the echo of a past wound. This person, through some unconscious cue, reminds your nervous system of someone who hurt you in the past. Your feeling is not about them, but about then. The alarm bell is real, but it's an old alarm, still ringing. The great tragedy is that we lump all three of these experiences together and call them instincts. And when our instincts, clouded by projections and trauma, lead us astray, we lose faith in the entire system. We stop listening to the whisper altogether. So how do we tell the difference? How do we recalibrate our inner compass? The answer is not found in more thinking. It's not about faster analysis. It's found in a moment of stillness, a philosophy of the pause. The ancient Stoic philosophers, men like Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus, were masters of the inner world. They understood that our first impressions of things, what they called fantasiae, are not the problem. The problem is our immediate, unthinking acceptance of them as truth. Epictetus gave this timeless advice: do not be carried away by the impression, but say, "Impression, wait for me a little. Let me see what you are and what you represent. Let me test you."
This is the sacred pause. It is the moment of power between a stimulus and your response. When you meet someone and that powerful feeling arises, positive or negative, this is the practice. You don't suppress the feeling, you don't ignore it, you honor it, but you don't immediately act on it. You don't let it become your reality. You hold it, you observe it, and you ask it questions.
In that pause, you bring Jung and the Stoics into dialogue. You ask, okay, I feel this, but what is this feeling? Is this a clean signal, a true intuitive hit? Does it feel calm, clear, and objective? True intuition often feels neutral, like a simple download of information. It doesn't have a frantic emotional charge. It's a quiet knowing in your body. Or is this a loud noise? Does this feeling have a hook in it? Is it emotionally charged? Is it screaming with anger or giddy with idealization? A strong emotional charge is often the signature of a projection. It signals that your own unresolved material has been activated. This is the great synthesis. Jung gives us the map of the inner world, the shadow, the projections, that helps us understand why our impressions might be distorted. The Stoics give us the practical tool, the pause, the examination of impressions, to help us see clearly in the moment. This practice is not about second-guessing your intuition. It is about purifying it. Every time you catch a projection, every time you notice your shadow in your reaction to another person, you are performing an act of psychological alchemy. You are taking the lead of your unconscious reactivity and turning it into the gold of self-awareness. This is the process Jung called individuation. It is the lifelong journey of becoming a complete, unified, and whole individual. It is the process of integrating the shadow, withdrawing the projections, and becoming the person you were always meant to be. An individuated person doesn't stop having gut feelings. Their gut feelings simply become more reliable. The signal-to-noise ratio improves. The compass needle stops spinning and points true north. You stop being a slave to your unconscious reactions, and you start to partner with your unconscious wisdom. So, what does this look like in your life, starting today? It's not a grand, dramatic overhaul. It is a series